How about the Godfather?
Yeah!
As Trav likes to call him, Lou Merloni of Providence.
Yeah.
Good to have Lou here with us. How are you, bud?
I used to be
wasn't ready.
Framingham's own, and now I live in Marshfield, so we're moving around.
Oh, there
I know
you go.
when I was growing up, it was Framingham Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
The
right.
king of New England. He's all over the place.
There it is.
All over
There
the
it
map.
is.
I like it. I like it.
Listen, man, things are just more fun when the Red Sox win. I recognize that spring training outcomes don't actually matter, but I'd rather talk to you after a 5-3 win over Minnesota than a 5-3 loss. So we can start with that. Not a breakdown of today's game, but just early things that you're seeing here in spring camp that actually are worth paying attention to, that stand out to you.
The arms are a little bit rusty right now. I think, more than anything, you saw Oviedo today kind of the control just wasn't there. He really didn't fine-tune. The slider was really inconsistent. Yesterday it was Ranger Suarez, and this is the thing. Ranger out there kind of after the game, he's talking about he really wants to work on throwing breaking balls into righties. So he's working on it. He left one up that left the yard. So it's hard to determine what guys are doing early in camp as far as what they want to accomplish in a game, what they're trying to establish, because it's only the first time out. But I think offensively, there's some good signs. I loved what you've seen from Wilyer Abreu, and Duran's finding barrels, getting 2 hits a night. Trevor Story, Contreras the other way, hits a homer. And Cedon's been hitting the ball real well. So it's early. I really don't take much stock in any of it. The only thing that matters is everybody stays healthy.
You talk about being rusty. One thing we've seen, the umpires, a little bit rusty early in spring training. Not the ABS challenge system. Guys seem to be killing it. I think 5 for 6 early on yesterday. Another good game for the players today. What have you noticed coming out of that? I know you mentioned you get an Angel Hernandez back there who loses 4 in a row and suddenly his confidence is shot. What kind of a difference do you think this is going to make entering the regular season when these games actually matter?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for the umpires. A lot of these guys that have been in the league a long time are used to calling a certain zone. Yep. Maybe they see the ball down better, or they see the ball up or away or in or whatever it is. And now it's just a zone. It's just a square box, and I don't think umpires are kind of used to that. So they're giving pitches they're accustomed to giving to, and now with the system, it's going to be an adjustment for them. So I think you're going to see a lot of that early on, and I actually think it's going to make them better as time goes. It's going to make hitters better as time goes. But right now, everyone's just sort of, this isn't the strategy that everybody's going to use. We're not going to be popping challenges in the first, second inning just to rip through them. But everyone's just trying to get accustomed to the whole system.
Lou, I know you mentioned Oviedo and the control today. I kind of want to talk to you about him big picture. I know now he's got to clean some things up. Who the hell doesn't? It's the time of the year to do it. But what's your vision for him, man? Is he? Do you see him as like that 5th starter in your mind? Joe Murray, every time we talk about this kid, is like he needs to come out of the bullpen, in his opinion. So does Adam Kaufman, feels that way as well.
To ruin an inning.
By the way, Lou, what I noticed today, I saw him walking, guys. I get it. I could not, and I talked about this to start the show, I could not take my eyes off of the size of this cat. I mean, he looks like LeBron James out there.
Moose up there.
6'6", 275. Just big picture, Lou. What do you see with this guy?
Yeah, Hans and Franz, him and Chapman.
Right.
He's a monster, that's for sure. It was a good trade because it was a very interesting arm. I talked to a lot of people outside the organization. They say, if they get him right, they got a gem. So it was, I don't want to say a gamble because they do believe in him. I don't think they really gave up much in that trade. So it was a good trade for them. So it's not about fine-tuning some secondary pitches. And that's the thing with this 5th spot. Like all these guys have options. If they don't like what that slider is and they think, listen, let's continue to work on this and the curveball and whatever it may be down in AAA, they can option him down. It doesn't mean he's going to be down there all year. Most likely be down there for weeks, month, whatever it may be. So I don't know what the final decision is going to be. But a lot of these guys, it's just a competition, and it's the way it should be. You go out there, throw the ball real well, you kind of hit some of the markers, right? Everybody's got different things they want to see from a guy. I think with him, it's consistency with the breaking ball, and if he hits it, he'll probably be the 5th starter.
Like Trav said, this is where I see him. Yeah. Bring out the righty. That's what I want. I think, again, the splits, you go back through his career, they're exceptional out of the bullpen. I'd like to see it, but let's just play the game. Humor me for a second. Yeah. If he is coming out of the pen, if they go in a different direction in terms of the 5th starter, knowing the exceptional depth that they have in terms of starters in this organization, maybe the best in the American League, competing even with the Dodgers in terms of baseball, if everybody stays healthy, who's your guy? Who's number 5 for you?
I would be really surprised if he goes to the bullpen. I think if you start sending him to the bullpen and Cutter to the bullpen, everybody to the bullpen, all of a sudden you have no depth. You have two guys in AAA. So I think he's a starter. I think Conley early is probably the most polished out of everybody. The question is, are they ready to have him give him 32 starts and 180, 85 innings? I don't think so. If everybody stays healthy, I could see him down in AAA and going 3 innings, 4 innings, and then whenever they need him, they bring him up, and I think he'll be exceptional. It's about a build up and just be a mainstay in that rotation next year. Coley, I think, needs to continue to work and refine some of his secondaries down in AAA. Cutter and Sandoval are a little bit late, but I don't think that's as big of a factor as everybody's making it out to be. I don't think they need a starter for at least the first week of the season. So they just want everybody healthy. I think Sandoval is a guy, he's the only one out of options. Now, they could move him. I think the teams would be interested, but they might get to the point where after seeing a couple of starts, why should we move him? Let's send everybody to AAA and keep our depth and go with this guy.
Talk about having to make a decision with the 5th starter. One of the other decisions that needs to be made, who the hell's going to be playing second base?
Who?
We have no idea. We've seen Andrew Monasterio out there, IKF. Marcelo Meyer we haven't seen in spring training, but everybody thought he was going to be the leader in the clubhouse. But now, with him not playing early in spring training, Romy Gonzalez admitting that he's probably not going to be ready for opening day. Who's going to be playing second base, filling in until those two guys can get back?
Well, Marcelo still has the hands-up, I think, job as far as depending, I guess, if they want him at second or Durbin at second. It still seems to be some kind of a mystery. It's just that, the surgery, are they slow playing him? Is it really the wrist, or are there things they're working on the back that they kind of want to see improve, like talking about checking boxes? People always talk about hitting lefties. Well, hitting righties, is something that he needs to work on as well. It's there's some breaking ball, swing and miss on sliders, slurves, curve balls. There's same thing with some changeups. So there's some pitch recognition for off-speed pitches. And if he comes out and if he hits a fastball all over the ballpark, that's not what they're looking for. They know he can do that. They want to see him have good at-bats and lay off some breaking balls. And if he does that defensively, he's probably one of the better infielders, if not the best infielder. So I would think that he is going to break camp if he shows them what they want to see offensively. If not, with Romy out, you got to believe that Monasterio is probably going to be in a mix at second base. IKF's going to be here as utility infielder. His job is to play if somebody gets hurt. If that's the first 2 weeks of the season, he plays a little bit at second, so be it. And then there's Nick Sogard, who can kind of play everywhere. So they have the depth. They have that thing covered. We'll see what happens. But there's no way Romy's going to be ready to go. He may miss the first 3 weeks, maybe a month. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, Lou. You always talk me off the ledge, and I at this point I'm pure dependent. I am dependent on you for this. Okay.
What do you got?
Let me tell you
Have we
something.
talked to you about this codependence
Now,
issue you've got?
I know. I can't help it. I wish I could quit you, Lou, but I can't. You the godfather of baseball. So here's where I'm going with this. Alex Cora, I am sure, will be less stressed this season because defense, check, pitching, triple check, okay? But Lou, I'm ready to smoke a pack watching small ball, okay? Can you tell me, can you calm me down? Can you get me excited to watch small ball? Because I do understand winning cures all. And I do think this team's going to win games. I do think this team will be back in the playoffs. But damn it, Lou. I am bored. Today I was bored to tears. And I know it's spring training. I get it. You've already checked me on that before we started the interview. Relax, it's spring training. But Lou, this team manufacturing runs and small ball, and oh my God, I just want some offense, man.
Just win, baby.
I would say this, even if they had signed Alonso and Bregman, they need to improve in small ball and situational hitting. So I think people underrating this offense. I think it's now gone a little bit too overboard. I don't think guys are going to have career lows in home runs if they keep where their careers are. If Story plays, he's going to hit 20, 25. If Abreu plays, he's going to hit 30. If Contreras plays, he's going to hit 25 to 30. If Roman plays, he's going to hit 20 plus. So I honestly think the offense is going to be better than last year's. And I know everybody was creeping and looking for Alonso and Schwarber and Bregman and everything else, but I think Contreras is going to have a better offensive year than Alex Bregman did last year. So Roman Anthony is now here the full year, and you got to keep Willier available. He's got to be able to play. He's going to be an absolute monster. So I think the offense is going to be better. I just do. I don't think it's going to be worse. I think it's actually going to be a better team.
Hold on, look, time out. When you say
what's in that water down there?
When you say better, No,
Yeah.
because I know Lou. I speak Lou. When you say better,
Let me break it down like this. How's this? Last year, you had 4 weeks or 5 weeks with Devers because he sucked in April and he was hit 200 in June before you traded him.
right?
Alex Bregman had 7 really good weeks with you, and then he was a non-factor, either hurt for the next 45 days or at a 700 OPS in the second half. And people are screaming from the rooftops, how are you possibly going to replace that?
Right.
So they finished 3rd in the American League in runs, 7th in all of baseball in runs, and their best offensive months were July and August. Those were their best offensive months. Didn't really have either one of those guys there, right? Bregman was a shell of himself a little bit. He was getting hits the other way. He was just hurt. He wasn't the same guy.
was hurt.
Devers was gone. So the offense clicked when you really didn't have many of them. Devers gave you 4 to 5 weeks of productive baseball. He was an out early and an out late. And then, like I said, Bregman gave you, 7 weeks before he got hurt. So I don't understand why people don't think you can replace that and still be the offense that you were last year.
So if I'm picking up what you're putting down here, Lou, barring health, this team has to stay healthy. But it almost sounds like to me it sounds like you're saying this offense is more efficient. I know you're using the term better, but they're more efficient this season. Is that fair to say?
Well, you hope that they will be, right? Situational hitting. You hope that there's some growth with some of these guys. There seems to be more of a focus on situational hitting. Not that there wasn't last year, but it's just the roster is what it is. Hopefully another year of focusing in the offseason. But you're right about health. I'll tell you, you need games played. You need games played from Wilyer Abreu, Trevor Story, and, Roman Anthony, Wilson Contreras that I expect, but those 3 guys, those other 3, you need health. And because that's going to be a lot of your offense.
Right.
I love that you keep mentioning Wilyer Abreu because people acting like he's not an all-star when he's in the lineup, barring health, right? It's insane to me. He's been one of their best offensive players for 2 years now.
Yes, he has.
He looks the part. Like when he's out on the field, that is a great everyday right fielder.
Yep.
But for him to be in right field, you want Ceddanne Rafaela in center, you want Roman Anthony in left. Lineup construction-wise, that leaves you with Jarren Duran kind of bouncing in and out of the outfield, playing DH, and then there are guys who just aren't going to be able to be in the lineup every day. How does that affect everybody else? You're balancing Tristan Casas maybe between AAA and the majors once he's fully healthy. How does that affect everybody around those 3 guys who you want to play in the outfield every day?
Well, those 4 guys you just mentioned are the important ones.
Yep.
Period. And not to slight Tristan Casas, but Tristan's missed a year and a half, and he will go to AAA, and he will hopefully find his swing. And at some point, you will need Tristan Casas, and I still think he's going to help this offense. But those 4 guys, and Jarren Duran is a way to keep Wilyer Abreu, who has gotten hurt. I don't need 155 games from him or Ceddanne. Ceddanne is kind of tired down the stretch.
Yeah.
So keep those guys fresh. Wilyer Abreu's swing is so much shorter right now. You mentioned it. Everyone's wondering where the power's come from. He had 22 homers the first 108 games. You give me 140 games, he's going to hit 30 home runs, and he's going to win his 3rd Gold Glove, and then everybody can decide where to put him in baseball. But you're going to put him as the 3rd best right fielder in baseball in that argument. So all around. So it's just, I don't worry about everybody else. I worry about the 4 guys that are going to play each and every single day. Where does that Yoshida fit? I don't know. Left-handed bat off the bench. Casas, AAA, get yourself right, come back up here and pop 6 home runs a month, whenever that is.
I'm not sure we're talking enough about Roman Anthony, and maybe that's not fair, honestly, because this offense, it was just completely different in the 70 or so games that he was out there versus when he wasn't. We saw, and I realized that other injuries played into this as well. You mentioned Bregman and other guys down the stretch of the season. For all the people that want to scream, when it comes to your offense, Trevor Story was the MVP of the team. I get it, but I think Roman Anthony was exceptionally important. If you're looking at this offense and saying, okay, here's just that one guy you can't lose. Here's the one guy that has to stay healthy. He is your most important player. I feel like it's Anthony, and that scares the crap out of me because that's a lot to put on a true rookie.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, and you're right. I mean, the offense was completely different. Like in August, when he was swinging the bat, you said this team has just as good a shot as everybody else. Wilyer Abreu got hurt August 17th, changed everything. Roman Anthony got hurt September, whatever it was, 3rd or 4th, changed everything. People talk about this offense in the playoffs, and you should bitch about it because your best players, your best hitters were out of the lineup, and Abreu just wasn't ready at the end of the year. But Roman, Here's the weird thing. I'm trying to downplay the year because I think the second year is people are going to attack him differently. They're going to try to find some kind of hole. But I also wouldn't be shocked if he just blows up either. He's just that talented. So trying to downplay a little bit of the pressure on him, but he's just that good. He's the best hitter on your team. I don't care what age he is, but people say, oh, it's bad that you had to depend on a 20-year-old hitter last year, and when he went down, your offense wasn't as good. Well, that's just the reality of it. And the Angels did the same thing with Trout. I mean, Seattle did it with A-Rod. They did it with Griffey. Like, who cares how old you are? You're the best hitter on the team. You are what you are. So I don't think he worries about pressure, to be perfectly honest with you.
He hasn't even turned 22 yet. Is there a good comp in your mind looking around baseball, or even a guy that isn't there anymore, but just, this is, I don't know, an appropriate way to look at what year 2 could be for him?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I've heard Cora talk about Soto before, and it's because of the plate discipline. When you look at some of when you start combining the chase or the lack thereof and the hard contact and
Clutch.
In the zone type stuff, it's similar to that. It's just, to me, I still look at those as guys as kind of different hitters. I don't know. I'm not great with the comps. I just sort of look at him and say he's going to be a great player and he's going to have a great year. Yeah. And as good as he is this year, I think that's not even close to the ceiling. I think you're going to see it more in the next 3 or 4 years.
Lou, we're talking about production from this kid, and that's a big part of the conversation. I also think they're tasking him, maybe not being the leader, but certainly a leader on this team. Mm-hmm. I also think Trevor's story, I talked about him earlier in the show. I think as I look at this team anyway, this is my opinion, you're closer to these guys than me, Trevor's story feels like the the OG, the real leader of this team. Would you agree with that? Or is Roman Anthony being tasked with that too, Lou? Just put that on his damn tab.
No, I mean, the whole leadership thing kind of happens organically, Stories, experience, guys are going to lean on him. I think Wilson Contreras is another one that I think people are going to lean on, especially guys like Wilyer Abreu. I think even a guy like Carlos Narvaez, will lean on someone like that. Cora joked about it. They're all from Venezuela, and this guy's been in the league a long time. He's the leader of this Venezuelan group. But I think Narvaez is another leader. I think Duran leads. So, will Roman? Yeah, he absolutely will. He'll probably start taking some of that role this year. But again, 3 or 4 years, then we're going to really be talking about it. But he's just so mature for his age.
All right, we talked about everybody who's ever picked up a bat for the Boston Red Sox. Got to get one in on the pitching staff because I think rotation-wise, everybody's super confident. But the left-handed reliever, who's going to fill that role that's been left by a couple guys who have departed over the last couple of off seasons? How do you see the bullpen shaking out in terms of 7th, 8th, 9th inning? Obviously, we know Chapman, we know Whitlock. Who's kind of coming in right underneath those guys and setting it up for them?
Well, I think the biggest one is going to be Slayton. It's time for him. We've seen him dominant at times. There's been some injuries, I think, the last couple of years. So he's dominant. And maybe there's like one hiccup of a game, but I just feel like he's ready to take that step. And Weisert's another one that was really good for you the last couple of years. There's been almost some overuse just out of need and how well he has thrown the baseball. But I think those two guys kind of jump off the page to me. And we'll see how this rotation shakes out, because I still think Cutter Crawford can either be a very good starter in this game, for this team, or he could be a high leverage reliever. I think the stuff can be that good. We forget what he was before he got hurt. And then you're looking at other guys, a guy like Zach Kelly, who's got tremendous stuff to be a little bit more consistent. The lefties right now, Giovanni Moran, that's kind of like the sole guy out there. I'm not so. Listen. I think eventually you're going to want that lefty, kind of in that 6th, 7th inning, to come in and terrorize some left-handed hitters. That's probably like a trade deadline thing. And by the way, maybe they're not done here in camp. But I don't want them to just go out there and sign a lefty just to sign it and have him suck. Mm-hmm. I don't need that. I just want guys to get guys out.
Right.
Lou, you want us to send you any pictures of the snow, or you good?
What'd you shoot today, Lou? Come on, give us a score.
No, I'm good. No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I actually canceled the round because my wife still has no power, and I just wouldn't be able to focus, and I would just felt awful and probably would have shot 170.
It's good, man, right there.
It's good, man.
But the news is she's got power, so I got a tea time for Friday.
There you go.
There you go. Beautiful.
That's a good man, because I would have played all 18. I ain't going to lie. I would have played every hole.
Might have lapped it back. See if he can fit 27 in. Lou Merloni, thanks so much, man. We'll be listening to you.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Again, Lou Merloni, just the best.
You would have played the whole PGA Tour? Meanwhile,
He's going Thursday through Sunday. He's going 36.
Hop a flight to Pebble Beach.
Meanwhile, your family's like, we don't have power.
We're running
Well,
on tuna and milk. That's all we got.